started around 258, and we're not sure how much truth is in the story, but the famous story is that he finished his own martyrdom carrying his own head up to the present Montmartre, Mountain of the Martyr, as it means in Old French. There, by the way, where there is now perpetual adoration going on, right in the heart of Paris, to the Sacred Heart, in reparation. The other is much later, St. Leonardo. He was a great Counter-Reformation man, who wrote the Catechism and founded more than one institute, one of which was amalgamated with another later on and had a significant influence in Italy and other parts of the world. And one lasting fruit of his work was the foundation of the university, still there in Rome, of the missions, the Urbinianum, which forms missionaries, and also he had to do with what is now the Propaganda Fide in its embryonic form. People, therefore, in the Counter-Reformation were aware of the importance of what we would say today, aggressive evangelization, conquering for Christ. When a student in Rome, I was living with missionaries, and I repeat to you something of a conversation I heard one day while with them, amongst themselves. These were missionaries of the Medical congregation, a very great American congregation who have done so much in China and other countries for the spreading of the word. And they were saying amongst themselves more or less this: we have lost our raison d'être, our being, our reason for being. Henceforth, our mission is one of cultural presence in universities, in learning, also in the realm of healthcare. But no more do we conquer for Christ as before. And there are quite subtle reasons for this. The notion of what in the documents of Vatican Council are called seeds of the word, semina verbi, in the document Verbum Dei. These are present in other cultures as well, and other religions, but they are only seminal, they are only seeds. Now, that notion of having elements of truth and God's goodness present there already is actually important, because St. Patrick used it, didn't he? However, the problem is this: when we stop there and go no further, it has become a problem. Now, going back to that same situation, on another day, the superior of that house where I was staying at that time in Rome, he was an experienced missionary. He was in his mid-70s, and he was by then Procurator General of that congregation. And one day, he was saying at table something like this, and I repeat it to you as he said it to us, because it always stayed with me ever since. He was there in darkest Africa years ago, and he was explaining to us this. When the first evangelization takes place, it's not like here in Rome or Europe. All over Rome, you've got priests, therefore you've got the Holy Sacrifice, therefore you've got grace, therefore you've got light, therefore you've got a bold walk against the other one. Now, this is an American talking. And he went on like this. In Africa, when for the first time the gospel arrives, the other one, and who's quite explicit about it, the devil, is not happy. And why? Because that has been his property from time immemorial. You know how, don't you? Witchcraft. They have some kind of worship going on. Ancestry, it's all there. But it's all intermingled with dark, strange, sinister powers. And by the way, on another day he told us also one or two things that used to happen. For instance, a witch doctor, somebody who was involved big time with black magic or rest of it down there, at one stage he did something strange. And on that same day, it seemed the way, in parenthesis, watch it if you're involved with anything strange like Reiki. Because even though they won't tell you, that is part of something weird as well. That is part of invoking strange forces of which we do not know fully the nature. Because if healing comes, it comes quite often at a price. Be careful. That's part of something we don't know fully all the roots of, and it's better to be pruned than to regret it. Now, I chose that parenthesis. He went on to say that one day he was in the parish and there was something nasty going on there. He knew there was something fidgety and he had some intuition what was going on. So one after another, he got hold of the people who might be concerned and got them to come to him and swear on the gospel. They had nothing to do with the other guy. Nothing to do with sorcery, nothing to do with witchcraft. And they came quite happily, and this lady came along. "Oh, Father, I'm involved with the catechism, you know. How can I possibly happen to any other person?" "Of course, dear, I believe you, of course I do. I've just put your hand here on the gospel." You know what? And she thought she better do something, so she did. And as she started to, her hand started to tremble. She couldn't touch the gospel, and then she shouted this out, making noises. Another time, one of our own brethren in the community I was in Italy went down to a place in Africa, Côte d'Ivoire, Ivory Coast, French-speaking, and there he was celebrating benediction. And at the point of making the Eucharistic blessing, holding the monstrance in the air, in front of a church full of people, at that point, holding the monstrance in the air, and remember that is our God, a lady in front of him in the pew started to meditate. From what power? And when he got to the point of making the Eucharistic blessing, that lady was catapulted with colossal speed against the wall, boom, and fell down. What was going on there was the other guy, the fellow underneath, could not bear the force of grace and the Blessed Sacrament, and he was making his presence known at that point. Now, what I'm saying is this, my friends. This is the world of real evangelization, when grace reaches a place which hitherto has been the property of the other guy. He's not happy to lose hold of what he says. I make a jump. Come to Ireland. Now remember, we are now at the foot of the hill of Slane, and we'll be going there to bombard heaven with that arm which we have against Satan, the Rosary, which Our Lady has insisted should be used every day. When Patrick arrived and lit that fire on Slane on the Easter of his coming, the Druids on Tara said, "If that fire remains lit until morning, it will never be extinguished." He had no right to have it lit against the king's wishes. And it was left alight. And it was still with us, and still is sort of with us, but the other guy isn't happy. And he wants to get this last jewel, Ireland, back into his crown. That country over which once he was in charge. He wants it back. And he's getting it back, my friends. He's getting it back. Why? Because we are not doing our duty. The Lord has no hands, the Lord has no mouth but ours. And I heard one day from an Irish woman who came to see me, she had said this about 2 years ago. There was a prophecy, I forget where she got it from, it was no prophecy. One day, Ireland would lose the faith, and it would be the fault of the priests. When I was in Italy, an enclosed nun said to me one day, "A friend of mine has got hold of a load of things for me through the internet, and it was things which had come out in exorcism. And one thing which puzzled me, and her too, was this. At present, the devil had had to admit, my greatest friends are, wait for it, priests. But priests, which priests? Who do what I inspire. Why? Because they're the ones who influence others. Do you see where we're at? It's dark now because there's confusion within. Whereas before it was quite clear. It was all from the outside, masonry, and all the rest of it. Now And we, my friends, have to have the discernment of the Spirit to see what is right and what is less right in what's been published even and given as the latest version of the truth. Because the truth, my friends, does not and cannot ever change. The truth is the Logos. The truth is the Word. The truth is the second person of the Trinity, who does not change with the moods and fancies of man. God is unchanged, but we follow the mode, we follow the fashion of latest theology. And now, my friends, we are paying price. Let's get back to simple things, those things which are protected by heaven, in particular on this day, the Holy Rosary. Remember, my friends, at Fatima, that each apparition, all 6 of them, daily recitation of the Rosary was underlined. Why? She did not ask, actually, for daily assistance at the Holy Sacrifice. She could have. Why not? I think, and others think too, that it's for this simple reason. Had she done so, people quite rightly would have said that my work, my family, my school does not allow me, therefore I will switch off from that duty. No. She said, and she said simply, for high and low, for simple and rich, a simple thing every day. Recite 5 decades of the Rosary. That was what she wanted, and that's what she came to say. And if she said it with such insistence, there is a reason on high for it. Why should we think we know better? I conclude, my friends, if we have not time for those 5 decades, we can do our own thing, but we are thinking that we know better than our best.